We have to work together, and especially us who are external and third party, we are here to assist our counterparts who are internal and corporate. Your hiring managers, the founders, deciding to use it as a resource so that we can make you look good, we can make the company look good, we can make the team look good, we can also be an extra resource for you to find those right people and get the job done. Welcome to another video. In this short video, we're just gonna quickly go over what we've done to successfully place a principal software engineer at a fast-growing startup in the data sector. Just to kind of quickly go over the breakdown. But before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, click that bell, would really mean a lot. So let's quickly just run over the context together. So this startup is a fast growing startup. There are about 40 people scaling across all departments, especially the engineering team. What really makes this deal stand out is that we actually placed the principal software engineer with them earlier this year. And upon doing so, they're like, you know what, Preston? Guess what? We are hiring one more, making it a double, which is fantastic without any additional work when it comes to business development or developing new relationship with clients. As soon as we picked it up, we're also happy to hear that it was the same background, same criteria that they're looking for. Now, while this is all great news, there are a couple things that really made this challenging. Number one, they were really looking for someone who had a very specific background. And I mean very selective. They knew exactly what they wanted in terms of the language, had to also have some systems admin, DevOps experience if you're familiar in tech or IT. They had to have at least a certain amount of experience when it comes to leading initiatives and mentoring and managing teams. They also had to be okay with fully remote. They also had to be, even though they're senior, willing to be hands-on with writing code specifically in Python if the opportunity arose, among many other things. And adding all of this together, this person clearly was very senior. They were also only able to pay them about $200,000, which in your mind, if you're hearing this for the first time, you're like, wow, that's actually great. But actually, there's a lot of people with the same profile that'd be looking for a lot more than this. So taking all that into account, we knew that, wow, we got really lucky, or we felt like we got lucky on the first one. Can we do it again the second time around? And we were pretty confident to use all our tools and channels that our resources are available to get this done, hopefully making it a 2 for 2. So I think the first big challenge to talk about is obviously specific background. You're only able to start targeting to know exactly what we're looking for, because from the first time that we picked up the first role, we were in depth. We took a lot of time to really ask them exactly what they're looking for, hard skills, soft skills, must-haves, deal breakers, and go as deep as possible. We basically were able to walk away from that conversation with a really clear understanding in terms of the ideal target profile that we're looking for. If you don't do this with your clients, you're just not gonna know who you're gonna reach out to. And when you do start reaching out, you're just gonna really start wasting not only the candidate's time, but your client's time, because you're just gonna follow a spray and pray model, or you're just gonna be playing the guessing game the whole time, or even just wasting your team's time because you don't know exactly what you're looking for. Take that extra time, even though you think that it might be difficult to get your client or hiring manager another phone call or Zoom call, it really goes a long way, because when you work with a client, new or old, you wanna make sure that your candidates are a reflection of you, your expertise, your track record, your professionalism, showing them that you know exactly what you're doing. Clients can basically be able to measure what kind of business you are, just also by the caliber of talents that are coming with them. It's so easy for them to find recruiters who are just really bad and picking up the job, sending them irrelevant stuff. And so when you're really putting in the effort and then you're taking the time and sending them amazing candidates, your first 2 are on the dot, your first 3 or first 5 candidates are perfect, you're gonna blow your client away, setting that right foundation for a successful working relationship moving forward. So the first big obstacle is they had a very specific background. They knew exactly what they wanted. We were able to deliver this before, so we knew it was possible. And from that process, we were able to learn a lot, discover new resources, channels, tools to be able to help optimize the search and see if we can do it again. And that is something that we had to overcome. But the first biggest takeaway that you need to take away from this is pick up the job well and ask a lot of questions, more than you think that you have to. The second thing that made this a little bit challenging is that the first time they placed the engineer, we were able to directly work and interface and communicate with the hiring manager. And this is something that I greatly prefer. It's just faster. It's helpful having direct hiring manager, the CEO, the founder. You can text them, email them, ping them whenever you want. So whenever you have questions, they get back to you quickly, and you're able to just not lose or slow down any time in your search and finding the right person. The biggest difference with the second time that we did this is that they just actually hired an internal recruiter on their team. And so what that meant is, instead of me being able to talk to their hiring manager directly, I had to go through this internal recruiter. Historically, that's fine, but what can really make or break this relationship is how the internal recruiter would work with me, how they would view us. Are we a tool? Are we a competitor? Like, if we do too much of a good job, does that mean that they're worried that the hiring manager will think that they're not doing a good job? Us recruiters, we have to work together, and especially us who are external and third party, we are here to assist our counterparts who are internal and corporate. What makes it a little bit difficult sometimes is that recruiters in corporate and internal sometimes feel like we're their competitors, but no, like, your hiring managers, the founders deciding to use as a resource to help you with your job, to help build that pipeline so that you and team and the company collectively can do more placements, scaling successfully. We're not here to make you look bad. We're not here to outcompete you, outwork you. We're here to help you. I'm not here to step on anybody's toes or make you dislike me or think I'm here to take your job. I'm here to be a partner with you, corporate internal recruiters, so that we can make you look good, we can make the company look good, we can make the team look good, we can also be an extra resource for you to find those right people and get the job done. So the second thing here was really understanding like how this internal recruiter works, right? Like what's her cadence, what's her communication speed, what's her response speed. And I think just what made it a little bit tricky is that it took her a little bit longer for her to get back to me, but also she had her own preferred preference where she's like, hey, you know what? Like, thank you so much for the candidates. I'm going to take it from there. I'm not going to reach out to the candidates and you're just going to have to wait until updates for me. This is okay, but I don't prefer to just be on the sidelines because I have no visibility. I have no ways to help my candidates. If my candidates have any questions, I don't know how to answer them because I'm not getting any feedback from the company. So I have to really get a lot of the feedback from my candidates. And so like that's fine. It's not the end of the world, but I prefer to very much have an ongoing open communication with the company, with the internal recruiter and hiring manager, because again, we're here to help and I'm not here to make their lives more difficult, to step on their toes, to compete them. I'm here to help them find the best talent possible and then do whatever we can on a secondary supportive basis to help them. If I send them a candidate and they never let me know if they like them, they dislike them, they're reaching out to them directly, I don't know what's happening. And then if they reach out to my candidate without me knowing, and I then reach out to my candidate saying, hey, like, I don't know next steps, but the candidate's like, I just heard back from the company. It doesn't make me look good because it might give my candidate a feeling that I don't exactly know what's going on, might be dropping the ball per se. So I think it's just a lot easier and healthier if there's just direct communication from the internal recruiter or hiring manager with me, with them, with the candidate, and also the candidate with me. Totally cool at the end of the day if one company or one team has its own preferred way, but I think again, it's much easier. We can avoid a lot of misinterpretation, miscommunication if everyone's just aligned on the same page. So I think in retrospect, what made it a little bit difficult is just that we had to really quickly adapt to this recruiter's new protocol, her preferred kind of flow and systems, and we just kind of had to adapt with that. And unfortunately, adapting basically meant for us that we get less, information quickly, we have less transparency, less visibility. We just have to kind of wait and twiddle our fingers. And I just don't like doing that. I prefer to be more of like a hands-on recruiter where I love to like understand how my candidates are doing. I love to understand how the hiring manager is doing and really help as much as possible. But then again, I adapt, right? I adapt. It's always a case-by-case basis in terms of which client company you're working with. And in this case where they asked us to take more of a supportive secondary role, not ideal. We're still able to do that and support the candidate as much as possible. So when it comes to working with internal recruitment teams, whether it's a solo recruiter or a team or a manager or director, I think what's really helpful is create some sort of like maybe weekly, bi-weekly cadence. You can set up a short call where you can quickly go over the pipeline, the status of all the candidates that are in process. And that way, if you're not able to hear back from the internal recruiter throughout the whole week, you kind of know exactly what's happening. If you can't do that, then you're just gonna have to do your best ad hoc, following up, ping them whenever you can. But then if they don't respond, then it just makes our position a lot more difficult because then we don't know what's happening. We don't know what to share with our candidate. And then we just have to rely on the company communicating directly with our candidate as a last resort. So do your best to still create some sort of structure, whether it's a weekly call that can certainly help make sure you and the internal recruitment team are aligned in terms of communication and cadence. But if you're not able to do that, just try your best to, respectfully and professionally follow up with them and ping them with intent, with context, so that hopefully, they get back to you soon. And always, of course, make it about the candidate and the candidate's experience and not so much about you just wanting your answers, right? I think internal recruiters, founders, hiring managers, people in general are more willing to give you feedback if they know that, hey, it's all about the candidate's experience, not so much about the middleman recruiter and whether or not we're making his day great or not great. Always make it about the candidate. And we always convey to our companies that whether or not the candidate gets the job, we want them to have a great experience regardless. And so getting any sort of feedback, at least with them, is paramount. With us, that would be preferred. If not, no worries. We're grown adults. We'll cry maybe just a little bit, but we'll move on. I think the third thing that made this a little bit challenging was it took us about a little over 2 months to do this position. We sent them a little over 12, 13 candidates. The candidate that actually ended up getting the job was probably the 4th or 5th one. It would have actually gone a lot faster, but it was also a time when a lot of people were sick, a lot of people were traveling, things were just slowing down. And when things just slow down in general, it's very easy to just get down, right? Feel discouraged, you feel like the momentum is stopped. And it's not just you, the candidate feels that as well, especially when they start a process with the company. They're like, wow, this company is actually awesome. I can see myself working here. And then things stop for a week, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and they don't know what the heck happened. happen. And then when that happens, they just can't help but just creating all these scenarios in their mind, like, oh, they lost the job. Why did they lose the job? And they start internalizing it, and the slippery slope, it becomes messy, right? So what's really, really important when this happens, and it happens frequently, you can't control your clients, you can't control your hiring manager. There's sometimes where they go through a sprint, or maybe fires come up and they have to pivot, or they have to allocate the resources to see a whole nother initiative or an emergency, right? You just never know. And whatever happens can disrupt the interviewing hiring process. When these things happen, it's very important to do your best to keep the candidate engaged. What does that mean? Whether it's following up via email, whether it's setting up weekly calls, just keeping it short and sweet, saying, hey, everything is still on. I apologize. There is a fire. The whole internal recruiting has slowed down temporarily. Any sort of feedback or visibility, transparency that you can share with the candidate, it will go such a long, long way. So do whatever you can to, make them feel like everything's okay. Don't lie to them. Don't make up things. Be realistic, but also be real. And if you're able to discover more reasons as to why things are slowing down, share that with them. We're all human beings. We are all patient at the end of the day. And if the candidate ends up really liking the job with your client, they'll understand, right? And so do your best to keep them engaged, follow up with them, keep it light, keep it positive, because if you don't do that and processes freeze, they slow down a lot, you just risk freezing out your candidates starting a process with other companies without telling you, they start losing interest along the way, so many different things that can happen if you don't check in with them. And every time that you check in with them, you use that as another opportunity to remind them how awesome and exciting this opportunity is, and discover new updates about their interview processes. You can easily lose control, and you can lose the candidate quickly, or you can just drop the ball and the candidate will just end up walking away, even though that your job with your hiring manager client could be the candidate's top job. So the biggest thing is when things are slowing down on the client side, it's our job to keep the candidate engaged, do some damage control, keep it positive, really pay attention to reinforcements and keep that energy level high, so that when things do speed up again, you know exactly what's going on with the candidate's interview process. Any counter offers, any acceleration of other processes, you're completely aware of in real time. But most importantly, any questions or concerns, are able to squash that immediately. Just keep them engaged and focused and excited about the role, so that when it starts again, they can fly through all the other subsequent processes and then get the job done. But all in all, happy to say that after about 2.5 months, we're able to get the job done once again, further cementing our track record with this startup. And we were just confident from the get-go because we did this before, but it's basically the same process, picking up that role, really understanding it, knowing how to look for the right places with the right tools, being able to qualify and screen candidates effectively, and most importantly, manage that whole interview process when things slow down, and doing it all as best, positive, professional, and as fast as possible, all the way until the time where the candidate accepts and gets that job. So happy to say that after all of this, the candidate was able to successfully accept an offer for principal software engineer. Her starting salary was $200,000 with fantastic benefits, equity, and growth. It was the massive placements for us and the team, and allows us to continue to be excited for Q4 and finish out the rest of the year strong. So if you like these deal breakdowns, let me know down below. But really respect your time. Please consider supporting a fellow recruiter. Give us a like, subscribe, click that bell. Really means a lot, and I'll see you on the next one.